What's up, man? It's your boy Jay, aka The Strategy, aka Mama. There goes that man again, aka I'm so disrespectful, aka the man by many names. And you're tuning in into another episode of the Walking Dead Review Show. How you guys doing? And this episode was so kick-ass, man. So kick-ass. Anywho, like I said, make sure to follow me on Twitter. Links in the description bar below. It starts off right where it left off. Herschel Leg from the last episode, he got bit by a walker when they were going in to basically find out where the pantry was and find the infirmary and stuff. Within doing that, Rick cut off his leg to keep the disease from spreading throughout his body. And Rick cut off his leg to keep the disease from spreading through his body or whatnot, but there still was a possibility that he could turn, because if he didn't die from the bite, turn from the bite, and he just died from all the blood loss, like we've learned from the last season, that no matter if you die from either one, once you die, you come back. So, you know, that was a big concern. And in the last episode, we found out that there were prisoners that were alive in the prison. Knew from when Rick and them found them, they weren't going to be in the fucking series for long. But they take us back to there. They come out. It turns out that when the place that they were locked up in was the chow hall. That was the place that the prisoners went to eat. So that's where all the food was at. When they went in there, turns out that there's a lot of food left. A lot of food. Rick figured that out from jump. He was like, so they got to talk. I'm skipping too far here. So they began to talk, and Rick was like, okay, yada, yada, yada. And, they take Herschel back to the cell block that Rick has, he's sectioned off, the safe cell block. And they leave a trail, so I don't know if they did, but it was a trail leading back to them. So the prisoner people, they followed it. And, Daryl, I know you guys always say I'm getting his fucking name wrong, but, he knew that they were coming. He left the door open, said, cock the bow and arrow, ready to fire at their ass, because, Daryl's he's a fucking rider, man. And, he was like, they came in, and, the leader of the prisoners was a Mexican guy, Latino. They didn't say his name, but, he was the leader. It was obvious to see he was the only one who had a firearm. The rest of them didn't. The rest of them kind of followed his lead. And the prisoners were pretty much, unaware of what was going on in the real world. The prisoners thought that it was only going on in a prison. They didn't know that it had went on in the whole world, and nobody even knows what's happening in like other parts of the country. It was happening everywhere, but they thought it was only coming here. So they believed that they were locked up, and the way that they explained it is that a security guard or a guard locked them in there and gave him a gun and said that he would be back. He never came back. he died, to make a long story short. He died. So they're explaining all this to Daryl, and the first thing to go through my mind, it's about to be some trouble, because as soon as the Mexican guy walks into the cell block where Rick and them is at, they was like, this was my block. A little crazy, but from that dialogue alone, I knew that Rick was probably going to end up killing them. Anywho, I thought Rick still had a bit of his humanity, which he did. I don't care what anybody say, Rick can never kill all of his humanity, because it's a part of him. It's a part of his personality. You can't change your soul. You can't. Some people are just loving people by nature. Some people are just aggressive by nature. Some people are just manipulating by nature. That is in their soul. It is just Rick's personality in his soul to be humanity, to have honor. So even in a situation where, to be honest with you, they should have killed the prisoners as soon as they found them. Like, with no regards. They should have plucked them off, because none of them had guns, none of them had weapons. Rick and them had all the weapons. They had the upper hand, but they did. So Rick and the Mexican guy are talking, and he's like, well, you guys been in there for a long time, so it must be a lot of food. So the Mexican guy like, it's a bit. And the Mexican guy kind of knew that they weren't going to be able to make Rick and them leave. They only had one gun. Rick and them had the firearms and all that. So Rick, being the guy he is, he's like, this is what we'll do. We will help you clear out a cell block for your own. In return, you give us half of the food. Rick was like, Mexican guy was like, all right, cool, we'll do that. So they have them all around, basically telling them how to kill walkers. You know, they're giving them a crash course on how to do it. They're like, can't shoot them in the chest. Guns are your last resort. Never use a gun unless your back is against the wall. Hand to hand. So they were like, all right, cool, whatever. Meanwhile, Herschel is, nobody knows if he's alive, but barely. Everybody thinks he's gonna die. His daughters then basically gave up on him. Well, one of them had. But they basically think he's dead. So Rick and them goes off with the prisoners to basically clear out a cell block. And this is the funniest moment in Walking Dead history that I've ever seen. There's not much comedy in the show, but this was one time that there was comedy. Now, Daryl and Rick and T-Dog have went through, you know, step by step how to kill a walker, the do's and do nots. These are things that they've learned over the year, over long periods of time of being chased by walkers, of killing walkers. They basically learned how to do it efficiently. They learned the do's and the don'ts because they learned people who did it the wrong way and they seen them get killed. And they learned seeing people do it the right way and survive. So they're teaching them all this. And they're like, go for the head, stealthy, try to keep it as controlled as possible, never break rank. The first time that they see some fucking walkers, these dummies like go in prison style. They're like, ah, they're stabbing them in the stomach, they jumping them, kicking them and shit. And like Daryl, T-Dog, and Rick like are just standing there looking at each other like, did we just tell these morons that shit wouldn't work? That was like the funniest moment in Walking Dead history. I don't care what anybody said. So they continue on. And they finally start doing it the right way. These guys finally start like getting the hang of it. Like, you know, they're shooting. They're actually, it's like kind of like a practice, like boot camp. They're actually showing them, like Daryl came up, shot him in the head. See, now step back, like see, quick and efficient. And then like they're showing them how to kill walkers. So as they doing this, the biggest black guy in the series, he's the tallest, he's the biggest. I actually get his name. I think his name was the only one in this entire series that was actually spoken out loud. Was Big Tiny. Huge guy. One of the main things that Rick says is never break rank. Never break from your position. If you break from your position, either you will die or the group will die. So they're saying this, and they're teaching them how to kill walkers, and they're in rank. And what does the big black guy do? He gets scared and he kind of goes this way. Now walkers start attacking him by himself. To make a long story short, he gets infected. Now Rick is standing there explaining to him, listen, you're infected, you're probably going to change. And he's like, no, I'm okay. He's like, I'm still me. His prisoner friends are trying to say, no, he's still him. We can quarantine him, help us save him. And Rick is basically telling him, no, we can't. I was basically fucked. So, you know, they're all sitting around feeling sorry for him. And out of nowhere, the Mexican guy hits the big guy in the head, the big black guy, little tiny in the head, and basically chops off his fucking head. They're both prisoners. Now, once again, this fed into my thought. There's no way Rick can let this fucking guy live. No way fucking possible. No way he can let him live. So, as soon as Rick sees this and like blood going everywhere, Rick gives the signal to Daryl. Daryl's like, did you see the look in his eye? Rick was like, yeah. He's like, Daryl was like, just give me the signal. Daryl's ready. Daryl's like, as soon as you give me the signal, I'm gonna put this motherfucker down. So basically, they come into a thing where Rick basically tells the Mexican guy to open the door, and he opens up all the doors on purpose to let in all the walkers. Even though Rick wanted one door to let in the walkers so it can be controlled, so you can take them out, less risk. He opens up all the doors on purpose. He opens up all the doors on purpose, and while he does that, he basically pushes a walker on Rick. He almost kills Rick. Now, Rick knowing all this, Rick, after they done killing the walkers, he looked at Rick and he's like, shit happens. Now, prior to this happening, Rick had talked with his wife. And she was like, well, what are you going to do about the prisoners? He's like, I got two options. Either I can stay true to the bargain we made or kill him. And she was like, well, you do what's best. She was like, but I know you're not a murderer, but if you do whatever you need to do to, you know, keep this group safe with a clean conscience. So I knew Rick was going to kill him because there's no doubt in my mind if he would have let the Mexican guys survive, he would have planned up a plan to try to take over the prison or try to kill Rick and them. So they had to die. So, and he just basically tried to kill Rick when they were killing Walker. So Rick get up, the Mexican guy said shit, and Rick did some gangster shit. Rick's like, yeah. Bow! Took a machete and put it through his motherfucking head. I was like, oh shit, son! Oh shit! Like, we ain't never really seen Rick like dispose of a human being with straight prejudice. When we seen him kill Shane, Shane was still a human being, and that was emotional. He didn't really want to do it. He had to do it, but he didn't really want to do it. Rick darts off to the he darts off and chasing after the black guy. The black guy running, you know, they're running, which I thought was pretty fucking stupid of Rick. I mean, why would you do that? That makes absolutely no sense. You've seen what happened to Herschel once he broke rank. Rick broke one of his own fucking rules, but he's going to kill the other little black guy. To make a long story short, the black guy runs into the little corridor, and basically walkers are in it. They're outside, it's boxed in, walkers are in it. And Rick runs after him. Rick, once again, he's been in the real world and he knows you just don't run into shit. So Rick, you know, runs out and he basically like, he sees him and he closes the door behind him. And the black guy runs up like, come on man, let me in, let me in. And Rick's like, you better run. Make a long story short, the walkers fucked him up. So, yeah. The episode with Carla, she was actually experimenting on a walker. She's trying to learn how to do a C-section, so therefore she can deliver Rick's baby. And it was actually somebody looking at her through the bushes. A lot of people are speculating it might be Daryl's brother. I don't know who it is. It's a long shot, but you know what? I think it might be Daryl's brother. You know, fucking know. Anywho, man, I think this was a great episode. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me, do you guys think that that's Daryl's brother who's spying on Carla? You know, we still haven't heard anything from Andrea. Do you think eventually they'll meet back up? Do you think Rick was right in killing those guys, killing the prisoners? He did let 2 live though, but he just killed the Mexican. So, anywho, that's gonna do it for me, your boy Jay. Thank you guys so much for, you know, watching the show. Follow me on Twitter. Be on the lookout for some more content coming from my channel. So, anywho, enough of that. And I'm signing off. Konnichiwa, bitches.